UFC Louisville. I would describe it as prelims, meh. Main card, banger. Main event, meh. That's how it went on Saturday night in Louisville, Kentucky. The main event featured Nassourdine Imavov getting the biggest victory of his career, but unfortunately, it doesn't come without some controversy. Let's get into the fine details and what could come next for the man fighting out of France. Two big wins in a row to start 2024 for Nassourdine Imavov. First, it started with a top 10 victory over Roman Dolidze in February, and now he has a victory over a former title challenger in Jared Cannonier. Not only did Nassourdine Imavov become just the third person to beat Cannonier at 185 pounds, he became the first person to finish him in the middleweight division. Unfortunately, it doesn't come without some controversy, as I alluded to in the intro. The referee, Jason Herzog, in round number 4, pulled Nassourdine Imavov away to get a standing TKO finish 1 minute and 34 seconds into the round. Nassourdine began the round by landing a nasty straight right that wobbled Jared Cannonier very severely. That straight right ended up leading into what was about, a 30-second sequence of events by the time the stoppage came in here. Cannonier, to his credit, never went down, never got knocked down, was there, had his hands up. And if you look at the finishing last 3-5 seconds of it, he had just got done throwing a right hand and covering back up. Nassourdine threw maybe 2 or 3 more strikes, and Jason Herzog, stepped in between them to call the fight off. Now, a lot of people online are saying that it is like an egregious, terrible, way too early stoppage. I don't necessarily want to go that far, but it was an early stoppage, a tad bit early. I feel that the writing was on the wall. It looked as though Cannonier was likely going to fall inevitably, but we didn't get to see that through. Imavov gets the victory. The fight itself was not amazing, but not bad. It was very back and forth. They were going toe-to-toe, as I kind of assumed to happen on Friday. I said it would be a 25-minute kickboxing match or less in this circumstance. Imavov wanted to keep his distance, keep at range. Cannonier was the one moving forward and landing the big shots, but also pressing into the clinch up against the fence. I thought that would be more so what Imavov would look to do, so I was wrong in that matter of this fight. Jared Cannonier landed some good shots. He landed some powerful strikes. Nassourdine, around 2 and 3, began to look better, and usually in these past couple 5-round fights that we've seen, he gets a little slower as the fight goes on. So we saw a little bit of a different version of Imavov here, and of course he gets the finish in the championship rounds. Say what you will about that stoppage. Again, I don't think it's way too early, but I do think it was a tad bit early. I think Cannonier still had a few more seconds to maybe grapple and get into the clinch and try to recover, but he did not get that opportunity. So it is unfortunate for Cannonier, who had won 2 straight fights against former champion Sean Strickland in a one-sided beatdown of Marvin Vettori last June, but enter Nassourdine Imavov into title contention. However, I don't believe that after this victory and the way that it happened, he earned a title shot. I think that he will have to earn a 3rd straight victory to solidify himself as a true number 1 contender. So this is kind of how I see the middleweight division playing out after last night. If we want to take a look at the rankings here, we have the champion Dricus du Plessis awaiting his first title defense. It is assumed to be happening against Israel Adesanya, UFC 305, Perth, Australia in August, if I'm not mistaken. But there has been nothing confirmed yet, and we are nearing the middle of June at this point. So I look for something to be announced soon. I think they may be waiting just a couple more weeks to see what happens in Saudi Arabia when former champion Robert Whittaker takes on the undefeated Khamzat Chimaev. I believe that after what we saw with Sean Strickland last week, what we saw with Nassourdine Imavov getting the victory over Jared Cannonier this week, the winner of Whittaker versus Chimaev should be the next number one contender, get the next title fight if it's not going to be Israel Adesanya. And even if it is Israel Adesanya, I believe the winner of that, depending on how it happens, I guess, should be next in line. And so if that is the case, then I think it's pretty clear what we do with Imavov, the winner of UFC Louisville. We pair him with the middleweight that fought just 1 week prior to him, Sean Strickland, number one versus what is assumed to probably be number four come Tuesday morning, Nassourdine Imavov. Pair them together in a featured bout on a pay-per-view or a 5-round fight night main event. Let them duke it out. That would be Strickland's second straight victory if he were to get the nod, and it would be Imavov's third and the biggest yet. He can kind of have a domino effect of a top 10, a top 5, and then a former champion, and that would solidify him as a true title contender next. That is what I would do in the 185-pound division. So let me know in the comments below who you think will be the next title contender at 185 pounds. Is it going to be Dricus versus Izzy? And if that's the case, who's next after that? Is it the winner of Whitaker versus Chimaev on June 22nd? Is it Sean Strickland? Is it Nassourdine Imavov? Did he show you enough last night to throw his name in the hat as the next title challenger? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. And now that we are done talking about the main event, let's just talk about a few of the other fights on this card. As you probably guessed, we won't get much into the prelims because they were a bit dull, but we will damn sure talk about this main card. Dominick Reyes is back in the win column for the first time since October of 2019. He was on a 4-fight losing streak, the last 3 all by knockout. What a feel-good victory. You could sense it on his face with the way that he reacted. You could feel it in the crowd. You could feel it on the broadcast. You could feel it and see it in the MMA social media community. It felt like the community won, and that's not to, feel bad or throw shade at Dustin Jacoby, who comes out on the losing side of this. He's now lost 4 of his last 5 fights, but there was just something special about this victory, and Dominick Reyes gets it done 2 minutes exactly into the first round of the fight. He had to go through a little bit of fire. He ate a few good shots from Jacoby, but nothing that put him away like the past few fights that we've seen, and he countered with his back against the fence and finished off Jacoby with a very, very good sequence of strikes on the feet. What a win. He's 34 years old. He's newly engaged to his fiance. He didn't get, or did he? I don't remember. Did Dominick Reyes get the bonus?
A few moments later.
He didn't get the bonus. Dominick Reyes should have got a bonus last night, too. I will say the 4 people that got bonuses were very well deserved. It was Raul Rosas Jr., Brunno Ferreira, Carlos Prates, and Zachary Reese. So they all deserved it. I wish Dominick Reyes would have gotten the nod as well. But nevertheless, he is back in the win column. The number 15 ranked light heavyweight looks to put together one more run for the championship. Raul Rosas Jr. has won back-to-back fights in the UFC and is now 3-1 with 3 finishes. This kid is 19 years old, a literal teenager, and he is beating guys that are 12 years older than him. Last night, in a former Ultimate Fighter winner, Ricky Turcios, he submitted him 2 minutes and 22 seconds into the second round, 2s across the board for the 19-year-old hailing from Mexico. What a victory. What a performance. He had to go through the fire a little bit. He was locked into a rear naked choke late in the first round after Turcios flipped positioning on the bottom, on the mat, I should say. But Raul was able to get back to his feet, finish the round, and then get him back to the ground in the second round for the finish. At 19 years old, he is now 9-1 with 8 finishes to his name, 6 submissions, 2 knockouts. We've seen him do both in the UFC so far, and this is the beautiful thing about it. At 19 years old, he still has 4 years to go to potentially beat Jon Jones for the youngest champion in UFC history. He turned 19 in October of 2023. I'm looking at this. It is unbelievable. He was born in 2004. That is mind-boggling stuff. But nevertheless, Jon Jones was 23 back in 2011 when he became champion. It's now been 13 years. We've seen a lot of young talent come and go even in the UFC. None have really came close to challenging that record that Jon Jones has. If Raul can continue to remain healthy and get 2 to 3 fights per year and continue to evolve fight by fight like we are seeing him do over the course of 4 UFC fights so far, he has a chance to break that record. Brunno Ferreira and Dustin Stoltzfus might have had the craziest one-round fight of 2024 thus far. Brunno Ferreira got a spinning back elbow, the 8th in UFC history. He knocked out Dustin 4 minutes and 51 seconds into the first round with just 9 seconds to spare after nearly being finished himself. I promise you, if there's a fight that you want to watch from UFC Louisville, if you had to pick one, I suggest this one right here because, one, it's less than 5 minutes long, and two, you get to see a little bit of everything. Brunno almost gets finished early, is on the back foot for most of the first round. Then out of nowhere, he lands a spinning back elbow that wobbles Dustin. He lands big shots. Dustin fires back with big shots as he's wobbled. And then what does Brunno do again? He doubles down on it, much like I doubled down on my parlays and lost last night, but that's neither here nor there. He doubles down on the spinning back elbow, throws it again, and sleeps Dustin Stoltzfus. This man is 11-1, 12-1, excuse me. All 13 fights of his career have not gone the distance. Has he even went to the second round? He has went to the second round 2 times in 12 fights. That is, or in 13 fights, excuse me. It is unbelievable. He's 3-1 in the UFC, a Contender Series alum. His only loss is to Nursultan Ruzaboev. This guy, Brunno Ferreira, the Hawk from Brazil at 31 years old. I don't know how high his ceiling is, but I know that every time he goes out there to fight, we need to tune in. Zachary Reese improved to 7-1 last night. Much like Brunno Ferreira, he has also never gone the distance. 8 fights inside the distance. 8 fights that have ended in the first round. Zachary Reese has never seen a second round. Zachary Reese, okay, he's went to the 4-minute mark one time. I was going to say, he's not really, outside of that, he's never went 2 full minutes in a fight. Wow. And last night, he didn't even go 30 seconds. He finished Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez, in 20 seconds with a nasty body kick followed up by punches. He bounces back from his UFC debut where he lost to Cody Brundage in December. He's a Dana White Contender Series alum. He's a very long, rangy, exciting fighter to watch in the middleweight division. Zachary Reese, 30 years old. Welcome to the UFC win column. And last but not least, we will talk about Carlos Prates on the prelims, who finished Charlie Radtke with a nasty knee to the body, 4 minutes and 47 seconds into round number 1. He improved to 19-6. 17 of those 19 victories are by finish. He's won 9 fights in a row, 8 of them in a row by stoppage. He's 2-0 in the UFC. He won on the Contender Series last August. He's one of the, I would say, high points of the 2023 Dana White Contender Series season. I remember when Noah and I were breaking down each episode that we were very high on Carlos Prates from Brazil, 30 years old, right in his prime, 6 feet tall at the welterweight division, long and rangy. He's got a lot of knockouts to his name, but not afraid to get a submission on the ground if he can get the fight there. I really look forward to what he can do in this division. Like I said, in his prime right now, outside looking in, obviously, only 2 UFC fights thus far. But his first UFC fight was against a veteran in Trevin Giles, and he finished him in the second round. I like what I'm seeing from Carlos. I liked it last year on the Contender. I like it more now as we head into the summer of 2024. So let me know in the comments below your biggest standout performances from UFC Louisville. What finishes were your favorite? What do you think is next for the big winners? For some of the losers on this card as well. Give me all of your thoughts, everything in between. If you enjoyed this recap, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Every single week, I am here to recap the most meaningful results from every card, talk about what is next for every fighter. I also break down and preview every single fight week going in, what are the biggest storylines throughout the card, and I give my thoughts and opinions on MMA news and fight announcements. Be sure to join the community on social media at the BAJ MMA. And last but not least, if you like audio podcasts, please be sure to follow on Spotify, Apple, and more as they release every Friday and Monday long form podcast episodes. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed the fights. I hope you even had a KFC sandwich in the meantime. And I will see you in the next video. We go into the middle of June with Alex Perez and Tatsuro Taira, the next headlining event, plus the return of the part 2 of the regular season for the PFL. I will see you later on this week.